Okay, I can herd cattle. Just look for me.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Don't train the golfers. I train the staff. But I train in all the
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome here this morning, and thank you so much for being here. My name is Jeff Renault. I am a pastor in Langley, and I just want to say from the outset that it is my absolute privilege and honor to be able to lead this time here together as we gather and celebrate, we grieve, and we honor Lee's life here this morning. I want to welcome all of you who are here physically, and I also want to say good morning to all of you who are watching via live stream this morning online. I understand there's a number of family in Edmonton, I think Saskatchewan, and maybe some other places around, but wherever you are watching, thank you so much for tuning in today, and you're just as much of a part of our service here today as everyone else who's gathered, so thank you so much. I just want to say from the outset, too, that there's going to be a number of words shared about Lee today, and some stories and some memories and some of her beautiful qualities. But I just want to say, whatever words are shared today, anything that we share will be short of fully being able to capture Lee fully. We all know this. Lee lived, I think, 83 years of life. And so therefore, it's impossible for us to capture her completely. We can't. I feel in that sense that we're walking on a little bit of sacred ground here today because we're trying to do the impossible of someone who lived so much of life and lived through so many seasons and was a blessing to so many people. We just quite can't capture her fully. But I think as we leave here today, that's part of our gift as well, is that we get to go back to our own rhythms of life and be able to take those memories and take those qualities about Lee and be able to cherish those and remember those anytime we want, as long as our bodies allow us to. Today we get to put Lee in the spotlight, as she fully deserves our attention, even though I have a feeling as I was introduced to her that she wouldn't really want the spotlight today. I want to say to the family, I want to say to Leland, to Cam, to Christine, and to your families here today, that my heart goes out to all of you. None of us here can say that we've walked the road that you're walking today. We may have lost people that we have loved, and we know what grief is like, but we don't know what your grief is like. And this has been a difficult journey for the last 8 months for you. I know that. And I'd like to say that it's going to get easier, but I think we all know the reality is that it's just hard. And grief is hard as well. I think there's a difficult tension of emotions that I'm sure you have had to wrestle with for a long time. And on one hand, there's this undeniable and very tangible sense of grief. I think we all know, and maybe we're reminded here on times like this, is that we are not created to live forever here on this earth. But even so, it doesn't make losing someone we love any easier. As a friend said to me in losing one of his loved ones recently, he said, "You always think you have more time with someone until suddenly you don't." I really, really wish that I could give such a clear answer to all of you to why such tragedies happen to such good people. I wish that there was just some way to explain this away and we would all understand it and go home. But I think we all know that life doesn't, unfortunately, work that way. There is a mystery to all of this that we have to embrace because we just don't know why. And so we concentrate on the things that we do know today. Author Jandy Nelson once said this. She said, "Grief and love are actually conjoined. You don't get one without the other." When we think about that, it's so true. Love and grief are twin siblings. You can't go one place with one without the other tagging far behind. Someone else once said, "Grief is the great price we pay for love," and it's so true. We could go through this life without grieving, but it means we don't build relationships. We don't get close to people. We don't love people. And that's not what we were wired for at all. And so we grieve today, and I just want to invite, especially the family, but to all of us, to grieve for as long as we need to grieve. I think one other emotion that is not so obvious, but is deeply felt today, is this immense sense of gratitude. Every one of you here know this. Every one of you here have stories to share about how you are better today because of Lee being in your life. Cam is going to come and share in a few minutes, and so is Christine, to speak into their mom's life. And I hope that through these words and through the pictures we're going to watch later, just allow us to see a little more clearly how amazing Lee was and how much she's been a great blessing to so many people. In talking with the family before today and being introduced to Lee, I learned without a doubt that she was the epitome of hospitality. Your care was always her concern. I learned that she was relentlessly positive, incredibly hardworking, incredibly determined, deeply caring, a great listener, intelligent, hugely adventurous, and to be honest, I could share more adjectives that I learned about her, but I don't want to overstep anything that you're going to say today, Cam, or you, Christine. I just think if I was given half of those adjectives at my funeral, I feel like I would be doing well. But Lee had so many qualities about her that we all love here today. And my heart, again, is hoping that we would leave here today with our eyes opened a little bit more to how much she was a blessing to us. So I want to just invite us as we continue, is just let's hold our emotions in tension as we take a bit of a collective deep breath. We honor a life that has been extremely well lived. And again, I want to say thank you all for coming today and for watching online. In a few moments, I want to pray a simple prayer of thanksgiving for Lee. But before I do, I want to read a short passage in the Bible that I think fits so well for today. It is from the very first book of what's called the New Testament. It's from the book of Matthew. And Matthew is all about Jesus' life, and he describes how Jesus lived and walked on this earth. And Jesus himself gave a story to a bunch of people. And in this particular story, there's a king, and he invites so many people to this great banquet that he's hosting. And he says this, he says, "You're all invited to this." He says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." And then the righteous will answer, say, "King, when did we ever see you hungry or feed you? Or when did we see you thirsty, we give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger or needing clothes or in sick or in prison? You're the king." And the king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." I think the story told by Jesus speaks of humility and character, of how we see others and the world around us, and caring for others way more than ourselves. And I think Lee's life and character were shaped by these truths as well. So with that, would you join me just for a few moments of quiet? And then I'd like to lead us in a prayer of thanksgiving today. Heavenly Father, as we take these few moments here this morning to stop in this relative quiet, to, I think of some of the deeper things in our lives besides the rush of the day, but to realize how blessed we are to have people in our lives who love us deeply and that we have the privilege of loving in return. God, we thank you for Lee. We thank you for how she was wired, for how she chose to see life, and for the consistent and tangible ways that she was a blessing to so many people. And so today we wrestle with emotions. And God, I want to pray that you would bring peace and comfort to us, especially the family today. And again, help us to see more clearly of the beauty of Lee's life today as well. We pray these things in your name. Amen. Amen. All right, with that said, Cam, I'd love to invite you up to share at this time.
Getting old, I need reading glasses now. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. Those who traveled here to join us here in person, and to those of you watching on the live stream. We're also deeply grateful for the many ways that so many of you have supported Mom and our family over the last 7 months as she fought her illness. Your phone calls, hospital visits, check-ins at our home, the home-cooked meals you prepared or hosted, and the time so many of you spent at the hospice facility, it all meant more than you know. On behalf of Mom, Dad, Christine, and I, please know how grateful we truly are. Today we're here to celebrate the life of my mom, a truly remarkable woman who was beautiful, warm, loving, and kind. She lived with such a positive spirit, always smiling, always gracious. She was the ultimate host, going out of her way to make everyone feel valued and at ease. Mom was born in Swift Current, Saskatchewan on June 28, 1942. She grew up with 3 older brothers, Richard, Ed, and Lloyd, and spent her time enjoying sports like softball, figure skating, and gliding on the frozen river she affectionately called Speedy Creek. After finishing high school, Mom's life turned into an adventure. She moved to Winnipeg and lived there for a while working as a secretary, and then she boldly applied to become a stewardess with Canadian Pacific Airlines. In 1967, she moved to Vancouver and began flying with CP Air. The same year, she met the love of her life, Leland, at a party. They had both joined the airline that year, and the rest, they say, is history. Together, they built a beautiful life, raising their 2 children and settling in Tsawwassen, where they lived in the same cherished family home for 46 years. Christine and I were born in 72 and 74, and after many years of flying with both CP and Pacific Western, Mom realized she couldn't stand being away from us during her trips, so she chose to leave her glamorous career in the skies to be home with us through our school years, a decision I'll always be grateful for. Then after Christine and I were off to university, Mom combined her passion for people and fashion and worked part-time at the boutique launch in sales and as a model in the store's fashion shows. She developed many close friendships there and enjoyed her days doing what she did best, helping others to look and feel beautiful and confident. Dad stayed in the cockpit for 35 years, and when he retired in 2002, Mom joined him on his last flight to Osaka, Japan. When they returned, we were all there waiting at the airport arrivals to give Dad a hero's welcome. But let's be honest, it was as much Mom's moment as it was his. Standing by his side and supporting him as she had always done his entire career. For us growing up, Mom always emphasized the importance of being worldly, making sure Christine and I learned to speak multiple languages. We learned to play music, even though we both did it very poorly. And she took us out to see the world, literally. We made family trips to cities like London, Paris, Amsterdam, Hong Kong, Sydney, where we would explore each city by foot. Mom walking with Christine and I, holding our hands, while Dad speed walked about 50 feet ahead of us as our tour guide. And of course, we had our annual trips to Maui as a family. Every year we stayed in the same room at the Kamioli Nalu Resort. Mom loved jogging barefoot along the sand and having dinners with family and friends, either on the lanai or down by the pool patio, watching the sunset over the ocean. As a family, we also skied together, and in the 80s, Mom and Dad bought a place at Whistler. Mom loved to ski, but only under the strictest conditions: sunshine, blue skies, and perfect snow. We used to joke that she was the fair weather skier, but honestly, when we were up there, she loved every minute of it. Not just the skiing, but the time she spent with her family. And with good friends up on the mountain. We still have so many pictures of those epic ski days around our place and at our home. Such great memories with so many of you who are here today. Mom and Dad also traveled the world together on cruises, road trips, traveling to many spots in Europe and Asia, trips up to Salmon Arm to the lake to see relatives, long stays with Christine's family in Scottsdale, and visits with my family in Orlando, Florida. In Scottsdale, Mom loved going shopping at outdoor malls like Kierland Commons and going hiking with Christine in the desert and going to many of the hockey and cheer events to watch Taya, Keegan, and Dayton compete. In Orlando, Elaine, Brady, and I have cherished the quality time that we've spent with Mom and Dad when they've come down to stay with us. Mom loved going to Brady's basketball or football games, long walks on the Florida beaches, our fondue nights at the Melting Pot. She was always up for side trips, weekend getaways to Clearwater, Sarasota, the Florida Keys, anywhere the sun was shining, and where she could spend more time with us. And I'll always remember the late night talks that Mom and I would have about life after everyone had gone to bed, where she would listen so intently and offer advice and perspective. And Mom could cook. If you ever visit our house, you knew her specialties. The legendary holiday dinners, huge spreads of food complemented by Dad's sausage stuffing on the side, her cheese puffs, pavlova, the Christmas pecan puffs, her strawberry angel food cake, the list goes on. And of course, I'll always remember our Sunday morning pancake breakfast before soccer games, complete with berries and whipped cream. Mom was the ultimate host. Our home was a place for memorable dinner parties with great friends, filled with stories, laughter, and great food. Many of the people in this room have spent evenings around that same dining room table, where we'd stay up for hours talking and laughing late into the night. Those evenings are some of my favorite memories. Mom was also a health nut in the best way possible. She was always reading about nutrition, always learning, always staying active, and always took such great care of her skin, one of the reasons she was always so beautiful. She made annual trips to the Optimum Health Institute in San Diego and occasionally dragged Dad along, which was an achievement in itself. She gave me so much advice over the years, and while I may have resisted it in the moments, sometimes quite stubbornly, over time those lessons sunk in. She taught me to live a healthy life, how to think through and prioritize what's most important, to see the positive in every situation, and to always smile and have the courage to laugh loudly. Speaking of laughing, Mom was the best audience. You tell her a joke, and even a bad one, and she'd laugh louder than anyone in the room. And she had her own terrible joke favorites too. And if you ever had dinner at our house, you probably heard the one from Mom where she said, "What's invisible and smells like carrots?" And then, of course, she would laugh so hard at her own joke that she couldn't even finish the punchline. Most of all, Mom was a source of unconditional love. She was my soft landing, the person I called in tough times, and my biggest cheerleader. Whether it was watching me play sports, encouraging me in my career, or just reminding me to look for the silver lining in every situation, she was always there, always positive. I knew it was the same for Christine. Mom and Dad were always by our side every step of the way. Christine reminded me recently of a story from, I guess, when I was a beaver as a kid. I guess it was the night when I got my very first badge. Apparently, Mom was weeping with pride. There's a photo of me with this one beaver badge, and Mom is in the background with a river of tears streaming down her face. I guess she set a pretty low bar. But that's who she was. She was endlessly proud, endlessly supportive. And as much as I rolled my eyes every time she told me how proud she was of me, looking back, that unconditional support meant everything. Mom was home for me, whether we were in the same room or just talking on the phone from across the continent. That warmth and love was always there. When she became a grandmother, she poured that same love into her grandkids, beaming with pride at everything they did. From school to sports to just being themselves, she went out of her way to tell them how much she loved them, to notice their special talents, to make them feel seen. She tucked them each in at night, sitting bedside, playing a game where she would draw letters on their backs with her finger and have them guess the word she was spelling before giving them a warm hug goodnight. That ability to make others feel good about themselves was one of Mom's greatest gifts. Even in her final months, as she went through her illness, every nurse and caregiver who came to help her was greeted with a smile and a compliment. She'd tell them how nice their hair looked, or how much she liked something she was wearing, or they were wearing. or simply how happy she was to see them. Even when she was in such pain, she went out of her way to make them feel good. That was Mom. In our family, Mom has always been the glue that held us together. She prioritized being together, whether it was our nightly dinners growing up or our outings as a family. And then later, as Christine and I built our own family, she always worked so hard to make sure we all stayed connected. She was happiest when she was surrounded by all of us. I've thought about that a lot lately, how important that togetherness really is. And it's another lesson that Mom taught me. Even when she got sick, and as hard as these last 7 months have been, it's also brought us even closer together. Through it all, Mom at the center, still bringing us together as she always had. Sorry. Dad, these past few months have been so hard, but your devotion and love to Mom have been nothing short of inspiring. Staying by her side from early morning to late at night every single day, sacrificing your own rest, comfort, and care just to be by her side. You've shown Christine, me, and your grandchildren what true love and commitment look like. As always, you've set a great example of what it means to be a husband and a father. So thank you for that. And know that Christine and I and our families are going to be here for you and with you in the months and years ahead. And finally, to Mom, I love you so much. I can't imagine my life without you. But I know your love, your laughter, and your lessons will live on. And Dad, and Christine, and me, your grandchildren, and everyone whose lives you've touched over the last 83 years will miss you more than words can say, but we're so grateful for the life you shared with us all. Thank you, Mom.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today to honor and remember my mother. Your presence is a reflection of the love, friendship, and connection that she built throughout her life. We gather not only in sadness, but in gratitude for the kindness she shared, the strength she showed, and the lasting impact that she leaves with us all. Two of my mom's closest and dearest friends, who were unable to be here in person, have sent letters to share their memories and the deep affection they held for her. I am honored to be able to read their words today. This first letter is from Linda and Val Sardison. Lee was part of Val's and my life for a long time. We will miss our dear friend from Speedy Creek. She never minded letting you know that she was a stewardess, not a flight attendant. Her attention to detail awarded her a position in first class, and she was first class all the way. That attribute also came through in her care of home and family. Her table was always flawless, like a magazine shoot, the flowers, candles, and settings just so. Over the years, Val and I shared many travel adventures with Lee and Leland, gliding down the Danube, touring St. Petersburg, wandering ancient streets around the Mediterranean, eating pizza in Naples, playing Five Crowns during Maui sunsets, and exploring Florida's outdoors and waterways. We also enjoyed many road trips throughout BC, as well as skiing at Whistler. Even a picnic close to home was an adventure with them. Lee was a very strong athlete. She was part of the Chicks on Sticks, several gals who got together for an annual ski trip at Whistler. Watch out, Hill. Lee is coming straight down. Losing a mother means losing a constant. The person who shaped your earliest days with love, strength, and sacrifice. still feel a profound loss when I think of my mother and my Oma. It has diminished with time, but it is still there. Leland, you and your family meant the world to Lee. We will miss you terribly, Lee, and we will remember you with a big toast of half water and half red wine at our picnics. Love, Val and Linda. Thank you, Val and Linda, for sharing those beautiful memories. One of my mom's lifelong friends, Vicki Pruden, also sent a letter. Though she could not be here today, her words carry the deep love of more than 6 decades of friendship. I will share some of my thoughts about my 60 years with my dearest friend, Lee. Lee and I went to school, graduated, and were roommates in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. She was very popular with her ever-present smile and warm, loving personality. We double dated, we went on shopping trips. Lee loved to shop, as she always had a keen eye for fashion. We went to school dances, and there were lots of fellows lining up to dance with her. And we laughed and cried at the movies. Funny, I don't remember us doing any homework together. There were so many more important things to do. So many happy times together, making many special memories. After she moved to Winnipeg, phone calls became our way of staying in touch. When a few years later we were both married, our families visited many times. Our children, Sherry, Todd, and Ryan, were close in age to Christine and Cameron, which made our visits most pleasant. Leland and Lee were wonderful hosts, and all of us felt very welcomed whenever we visited. Lee enjoyed sharing stories about Christine and Cameron, and later on, stories of her dear grandchildren, Taya, Keegan, Dayton, and Brady, and Lucas. She will continue loving and watching over you as your guardian angel. Grieving is actually an aspect of love, and healthy grieving is an act of love, remembering love. Though you are grieving, she would want all of you to be happy, and to know that being happy would not be a betrayal of your love and loyalty to her. I am thinking of you and the family today, and trusting that today will be a beautiful gathering of many friends and family coming together to celebrate your dear mother's life. I will be with all of you in spirit. This is a poem dedicated to my dearest friend, Lee. She did not need the sun to shine, for warmth lived in her smile. She carried laughter in her hands and love that reached for miles. She taught us how to see the world in colors rich and true. She showed us kindness is a gift and joy is something you choose. Warmest love, Auntie Vicki. We're grateful for these heartfelt tributes from those who walked beside my mother throughout her life. Their reflections capture the grace, generosity, and spirit that defined her. Thank you for joining us today as we celebrate her life and enduring impact that she leaves with each of us.
Well, thank you to those who wrote those tributes. And Cam and Christine, I just want to say too, it was deeply impressed upon me as we talked about your mom, of how much of an influence she's had on you guys and to form you guys in who you are today. So thank you for honoring her. I think if she was here, she would be exceedingly proud of you guys so much. So thank you. We're going to reflect a little bit on Lee's life and some of her seasons with people that she's loved through pictures at this time. I think pictures speak just a different language than words do, and they will capture her in a different way. So let's just watch these pictures, let's reflect, and then I'll come up and continue from there.
Just can't stay here in heaven.
Wasn't that good, everyone? I feel like watching that just reminds us, too, that life just goes quickly, too, doesn't it? The years go by fast. But I think those pictures teach us something else. And as you all know Lee, I think her life has taught us something else, too. And so before we close today, I just want to share briefly about something that really impressed me about Lee's life. And there's a lot, to be honest. I could talk a lot longer here, too, but I think both Cam and Christine captured everything so well, but I just want to point out something else. There's a quote by a philosopher by the name of Friedrich Nietzsche, and he says this, I think it's just so pointed, it's so good. He says, the essential thing in heaven and earth is that there should be a long obedience in the same direction. Life lived that has always resulted in the long run, something which has made life worth living. I think what he's trying to say here is that what makes our lives valuable and have worth and meaning is not some momentary joy that is very temporary, but rather our meaning and purpose that we find in our lives should be something we slowly attain over time. Something that is done over and over and over again that defines who we are. I think in all honesty, we can define our lives a few different ways. One of them can be just measured by the money that we have in our bank account when we pass away, or how well we were known in this world. I think those are outside markers that we can be tempted to define who we are. But the other one, maybe not as romantic, but I think is actually more beautiful. And that is this faithful, obedient walk from one day to the next, going about life with open hands and gratitude for the chance to live life and the people to love. Without a doubt, as I was introduced to Lee, this latter way is how she lived her life. It is said that we live our lives in trajectories. In other words, the patterns we practice in our early years quite often continue on in the same direction for the entirety of our lives. And as the family shared with me about their wife and their mother, I got this clear sense that actually this is how Lee has lived her whole life. There was a clear sense of resiliency and determination to be humble, be kind, to take her work seriously and her role as wife and mother seriously, but never take herself too seriously in life. Leland, I loved learning about yours and Lee's love story. Or to put it another way, the Lee and Lee story. As Cam has mentioned, in 1967, at a party that was hosted from the airline as far as the training crew, I understand that you were just relaxing, enjoying yourself, not getting into any trouble, when a female came up and said, Lee, there's another Lee at this party that you just have to meet. And I'm not sure if you were genuinely excited or you just simply wanted to oblige your friend, but you made your way over and met the other Lee. Now, I'm not sure who made the first move, and I didn't ask, but I wanted to say I'm guessing that first meeting must have gone really well, because you both found out that you're both born in Saskatchewan, that you both have prairie blood in you, and that's Saskatchewan blood. I've met people from Saskatchewan. I think everyone is this way. You're humble. There's never a shying away from hard work. There's an understanding of people and being honest and just who you are. Having a lot of things in common, you two had your first date, and obviously that went well enough to have a second and a third. And a year later, on September 28th, 1968, at St. Andrew's Wesley United Church in Vancouver, the two of you shared lifelong vows. Not a renewable vow every year, but a lifelong vow together for whatever life threw your way. That's 57 years, Lee, of love, friendship, romance, adventure, and growth. I'm sure that there were ups and downs in your marriage, because that's exactly what every marriage is like. But the two of you were a team, and you were a long obedience in the same direction. And I think that is a testimony to all who know you of the legacy of commitment that you both had. It can go without saying that Lee was an amazing mom, but I will say it. You've heard it already. I loved all the little details that made her such an amazing mom. always having snacks readily on hand for friends whenever they came over. I kind of got this sense as the kids, I'll call you guys kids today, as they told me about their mom as kids. I almost get the sense that when the friends were over, that she was kind of hiding in the kitchen, looking over into the next room to see if there was an empty cup or if the cookie dish had gone, empty as well. And then she would run in and quickly fill those again. It's probably not quite like that, but she just loved to host people. And I think probably everybody here is a benefactor of her hosting. She knew her place was, as Cam has just said, home. And she wanted others to experience the same kind of feeling when they walked through the doors as she had every single day. Cam and Christine, again, I know all of us have different relationships with our parents. Not all of us here today maybe can say that we have good relationships. But I love that you two have had someone through your lives, through your own seasons, that has been home to you, who has shaped you into who you are, and so incredibly committed to your own well-being and happiness, and creating a moral compass in you of what is right and what is wrong, and showing you what love looks like. This is also, of course, true of the grandchildren. Cam and Christine, we get it. As kids, when we have our own kids, we ourselves get knocked down the ladder a few rungs, and the grandkids are elevated. It's just how things go. And from everything you've said and we've seen, and I've heard earlier, is that Lee just absolutely loved each of her grandchildren, spoiling them, but also just teaching them day by day of what love and dedication looked like. She had a long obedience in the same direction. And lastly, the same attitude of growing over time and blessing people was a thread that wove its way through every season of Lee's life. I get this sense that Lee was very aware, not only in these last 8 months, but her entire life, that life is truly a gift. And that she truly lived every day with this in mind. The life was never a sprint where we suddenly change overnight, but rather through faithful living and being others-centered, that her long obedience in the same direction was how she guided her own life, her own character, her own perspective. And in so doing and in so living has affected all of us, not just to be encouraged at the way she's lived, but I think inspired in many ways as well. And so as we close our time here together, I want to encourage you to continue to remember Lee. Continue to bring her up in conversations, even with the laughter and tears that will bring. Continue to let your mind go to Lee as you're driving or just going for a walk or just whenever these memories pop up. Lean into them. Because she's lived an incredible life and she will be with us in some ways for the remaining days of ours. So as you go, may God's grace and peace go with you as you continue to navigate this road ahead. And we sit in awe of a life very well lived. At this time, there is a reception that is going to take place just literally out the door and to our right here. If you're able to stay, you are more than welcome to. There's going to be some refreshments and a chance to give the family a hug and say hi to them and share condolences. If you can't stay for whatever reason, we understand. And the family just wants me to reiterate the fact that they are so grateful for your presence here today and for your presence online as well. I want to invite you to remain seated. We will first dismiss the family, and once the family has left the chapel, the rest of you are welcome to join them in the reception room. Once again, thank you all so much for coming. Blessings and peace as you go. So, like, how did you know?
Well, we've been friends ever since goodness knows when. When I started with airlines.
Oh.
My wife was started with Ward Air.
Oh, wow.
79. So we've been friends since.
Great. There's been a lot of changes.
Which church are you from anyway?
It's called North Langley Community Church. It's in, north part of Langley, Walnut Grove, and we have different locations, so I passed the bunch. Yeah, been there for 25 years.
I was involved with the Danish Lutheran Church.
Oh, okay.
And the last one was down on there's a highway and 152nd.
Oh, yeah.
Just north of Fraser Highway. They with your soul 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
$12.5 million.
Well,
Well, see, they're putting a station, SkyTrain station.
oh,
So all this, they have set room for 3 high rises on our property.
well, they're building a lot of high rises and stuff around it.
Right along every side.
Yeah,
Well, thanks again.
strategic. Yeah, thank you for coming today.
Are you welcome? I lost my better half.
Oh,
Eventually
come, yeah.
Well, we know too many people.
Social butterflies. It's good. I'll give this to you here.
I'm sorry to ask. Right there. Mushrooms.
Yes. Good time.
Video playing on the TV. No, that's fine. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I found that the pictures they showed was a bit too fast, but that's okay. I guess they had so many to show in.
Yes, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, this is 1, 2, 3. Oh well, that's a few years ago.
A few?
Obviously.